Hi, everybody, and good afternoon. So happy to see you on what is our last Topical Tuesday session for the year. I can't believe it. We are talking about being the tech leader on your campus with Lumio and Smart. We have with us our friends from Lumio and Smart, and they are going to be presenting to you today about how you can be the tech leader on your campus. So if you haven't met Dan, you are going to get to meet Dan, and he's going to take it away and talk about what we have planned with EdTech and Smart this summer.
All right. So can I take over presenting?
Absolutely.
All right. And you will see how far I went into this theme with my little background. So I think you guys see my screen.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Love it.
So it'll forever be captured that I totally misunderstood this, and especially since you're recording it. So, all right, so let me get this zoomed right. All right, so a little bit about myself and what we're doing here. So it is just me today. Laura felt like you guys are in good hands with me, and so I'm gonna be leading this little presentation. I'll leave some time for questions and hopefully get you guys enough information to make some decisions on whether you want to become certified in Smart or Lumio, or even a Lumio educator. So we'll talk about that here as we get started. But I think first it's great to start with introductions and a little bit about who I am. I'm sure I've met a number of you, and also some of you who might be watching this webinar recorded, visiting your sites. So as you know, we have a Smart team of trainers that's been with the district almost 3 years now, and we're coming up on the end of that. And so was initially brought on as the technical specialist, and I've also now begun doing a lot of the training as we've kind of downsized our team, and I've been taking on more roles. I kind of manage the technical stuff, but I also do quite a bit of training up in the north side of town, mainly elementaries up in like Jupiter, Palm Beach Gardens. And my background is about 25 years in education. I started off as an art teacher, but I worked at a charter school and I taught like 5 subjects. So I got thrown right in there and learned how to basically, learn all the different subjects. But eventually I did get in when I moved to Colorado into an elementary school as the 1-year leave art teacher. And then unfortunately I was gonna have to leave the school, but the media specialist who'd been there like 35 years was retiring. And previously I had been really into I had actually done computer lab and really into technology. And things were really starting to push that way. So I got my master's in educational technology and became the media specialist at the elementary school, and absolutely loved being a media specialist. I mean, just so cool. You are like the core of the school with resources, with new things that are happening, especially new technologies. And so I absolutely loved it. I took a lot of opportunities to become a trainer for different software. There was actually a new art software the district bought, and since I was former art teacher, now a media specialist, I kind of jumped right in. And then discovered a smart board in our media center and started messing with that. Eventually put smart boards in my school, started doing trainings. And I've been doing trainings on smart notebook and smart software since about 2005. Way back like version 8, we're on like 22 now. So I've seen it go through quite a few changes. I'm sure many of you have as media specialists. It was kind of like digging through history when I moved into that office that had been there 35 years. Floppy disk cameras, film strips, slide projectors, all that fun stuff. So just knowing, I've seen it all. I get your job and what you guys do as support for your school, because I know they're the one they come to when, oh, this isn't working, or hey, I've heard about this resource, or hey, have you ever used blah, blah, blah. You kind of are that point person. You tend to be connected to social media and go to conferences, and you're connecting with other people at other schools. So just let you know, I mean, I love that. I eventually became an ed tech facilitator and trainer in my district. Oh my God, I have a typo here too. Fix that though. Great thing about Lumio now, you can edit in present mode. So I didn't have to go to edit mode. I was typing this up fast this morning, just the cover page. But being that core person, it shows value not only to your staff, but that you're helping them kind of grow and learn. We all can grow and learn, and that's what hopefully we'll be able to do with some of these trainings that we have coming up. So just so you can click some links, and we will be posting these. I'll also make sure the links get emailed to everybody. If you'd like to join my class, you could go to hellosmart.com and type in or join as a guest and type in 272272. You can actually reset your class ID. So this morning I spent a couple of minutes until I magically came up with these beautiful numbers that are so easy to type in and remember. So I call it the class ID lottery. I just kept spinning the wheel, and eventually I got these really nice numbers. So you join as a guest. As you guys join, I will start to see people showing up here. So if you've never used Lumio before, it is really a presentation tool. You can pull in your PowerPoints, you can pull in Google Slides, PDFs, anything like that. The main things probably that people compare it to are like Nearpod and Pear Deck. It's a way to take a presentation you currently have and add some engagement, interactivity, ways to work with the students. So just in case people weren't aware of what Lumio was and what it can do, I did want you guys to kind of see that. Again, you don't have to join, but for anybody who just wants to jump in and see what it's like to join the class, when I click up here, I can see who's in the class. I can also pull up my information here. Another nice thing too is I can copy my link and I can put that in the chat of our meeting. So this is another way, it just came out actually to make it easier to get people in. So let me grab my share link again. I don't think I quite copied it. Oops, I want my session link. So that's a new thing they did, is so they have a session link now. So basically, instead of linking you to a lesson, it's going to bring you into my live lesson. So I'm going to put that in here. When you get there, you just click join as a guest and type your name. And then that will get you in. Of course, for students, they just go to their portal and look for Lumio. For teachers, there's a few different ways to get there. So I was starting to say, we're part of a team, what people are joining, and our trainings will be ending at the end of September. So we've been doing Lumio, some trainings, which I'll talk about here, in order to build capacity and hopefully build some a successful pathway for the district with using smart products, with using Lumio, creating, people, basically point people in the different buildings or departments that people can go to learn more, do little workshops, find out about new features, possibly even train and help the new staff. Because you have new staff that come in and are like, oh, what's this? I don't know how to use my smart board, or I'm not sure what are the basics I'd want to know. Being able to pull those new teachers together and show them all at once in a quick, like 30-minute session is going to be very valuable. So the 3 different certifications we have for the summer are Lumio Educator, which is really just for learning how, which actually, I'll just go over them, then I'll get into each of them specifically. We have Lumio Educator, Lumio Certified Trainer, and then the Smart Certified Trainer. So on each of these next slides, I kind of get into, and I can discuss a little more of what they're going to be like. So really, Lumio Educator is becoming comfortable using Lumio with your students. All right, so you would be, this is the teaching to students. So really for the basics, we highly recommend somebody's taken Lumio Educator or that they are pretty proficient with Lumio before taking Lumio Certified Trainer. Just going to find it's going to be a lot more work and a little more to learn, because we don't spend a ton of time in Lumio Certified Trainer teaching how to use all of the tools. Some tools we will highlight, but the hope is that you've had some experience delivering lessons, downloading and saving lessons, using some of the features like sharing and creating some games and things like that. So in this class, it's really going to be pushing the teacher to become comfortable using Lumio with their students. And that's what we try to do in our trainings when we go visit the schools. We want to get them comfortable enough that, hey, I can download a lesson, or I could create a short lesson, I can import something, and then I can present it out to my students and they can get on their Chromebooks and interact with it. So I'll get into some dates here in just a little bit, but I will let you know we are offering specific trainings for media specialists because we found in our trainings, you guys are typically our high flyers, right? You're on computers a lot, you're learning new resources a lot, you're good at transferring your knowledge and understanding of different software to different platforms. And sometimes we end up with some newbies or other people in there that, just aren't as fast at getting it, or they need more help and assistance. Plus, we know you guys don't get together a whole lot, and to have you guys together and collaborate, I know that. The other thing I didn't share is when I became ed tech in my district is I ran the media specialist meetings for 9 years. So I was the point person for media. Essentially, they got rid of the media specialist person when ed tech was created, and they just put media and library services under educational technology. And so my boss, knowing that I was a former media specialist, signed me up. Essentially, you've been going to media specialist meetings for the last 6 years, or I guess I've been going 5 years. So then I was in charge of them for the next 9 years. So essentially 14 years of doing media specialist meetings. So actually this is the first, feels kind of like a throwback. I used to do some, but we do them in person, and we would broadcast them, but we would actually do a morning one for elementary and an afternoon, morning, for secondary, and an after school one for the elementary people. So this, again, if you're really new to Lumio, try to get into this, the Lumio Educator, and it does come before the Lumio Certified Trainer. And that's one way that you can start to dive in. So a little bit about what is Lumio. So it lets you import content or browse from all of our ready-made resources. You can add animated games. You can make interactive slides, essentially with manipulatives that can be moved around, and also collaborative activities using graphic organizers or other things that you may already have that you can then import and put students in groups or put them as a whole class or even as individual handouts. And then you can also connect with the students live, or you can share a link with them like in Google Classroom, or you could even share a link via GoGuardian or something like that that would give them access to direct lessons, which allows you to differentiate or allows your teachers to differentiate. So it has a lot of features and things going for it that a lot of the other ones don't. Some of those being, in case you haven't seen in a while, some of the things we've added. I'll kind of start in the top left. This is kind of a lot to look at. But you can add your existing content. You don't have to retype everything or copy paste everything in from your PowerPoints, your slides, your PDFs, or even if you use Smart Notebook. All of that can just be imported right in. As I mentioned a minute ago, we can do teacher pacing or student pacing, which can be switched at any time. Instructional audio can be added to slides. We now have a student activity dashboard for 3 of the games, which has been asked for a long time. So if you haven't been on Lumio in a while, this has been the biggest win with teachers. What we have here is rank and order, match them up, and sorting, the sorting game. Those 3 games have an activity dashboard that'll give you class data as well as individual student data. We've added immersive reader from Microsoft, which will help with a lot of accommodations like reading text, translating text, overlays, syllables, parts of speech, all that kind of stuff. Tons of ready-made resources like manipulatives, graphic organizers. For your science and math people, we have PhET simulations. So a lot of people think this is all kiddie elementary stuff. There's a lot of PhET for elementary, but there's a ton of PhET also for secondary, including we have an equation editor, a chemistry editor now. We also have the Desmos graphing calculator. One of our original tools, Shouted Out, for students to post responses, either text or pictures. We have the game-based activities, which there's quite a list, and it's growing. We've added like a word search recently. There's a matching game. We have a monster quiz, which is a lot of fun, kind of takes the place of a Kahoot. So the idea here, and again, I didn't mention this earlier, the district got 15 years of Lumio when they bought the smart panel. So we're looking at, I think it's just about 12 years left where you guys have Lumio. You don't have to buy it, you don't have to renew it, as opposed to some other products which your teachers might be using for a year or two, and then they're begging for somebody to renew it. Like, oh, I want another year in Nearpod, or I want another year Pear Deck or Cami. Pretty much everything you can do in those programs, you can do in Lumio. So It's also easier on the students typically if they're not bouncing around to a lot of different products and different websites where they can become comfortable using these. Smart Response is our version of kind of like Google Forms. It can be launched during a lesson, and when you launch it, it kind of pulls all the students in. It gives them the test. You get an Excel spreadsheet with all the results. And then the last and probably the easiest one to hook teachers with is if they add YouTube videos in Lumio, they do not have advertisements. So those are some like the big wins, the big sales, because there are times where you might feel like you are trying to convince or sell somebody on like, well, why should I use this over Nearpod, or why should I use this instead of just using my Google Slides? And hopefully what they'll see is that it's adding student voice, it's adding student engagement, it's adding interactivity. I find especially in secondary, you can do a lot of gathering more information from them with handouts and things that people are using Kami for, or Pear Deck, to respond to a slide or to fill out a document that they normally would have printed and made photocopies of. Instead of making photocopies, that document can just be put right into Lumio. They can use, as you guys see on my screen here, text tools, pen tools, things like that. And they can even add pictures and other things just to make it more their own. So now for elementary, I tend to initially focus on a lot of the games and a lot of the handouts so that they can be practicing their skills and showing their knowledge. Those are some things that I just like to throw in there.
Dan, we just had a quick question. Which tool is like Kami?
So Kami allows you to like annotate. Typically, what that's how most people used it. So I have this Google Doc or a PDF, and it normally would be like a worksheet, for instance. And some teachers would use Kami, so then the students could add text, or they could even use like the pen tool to write answers or to basically annotate on top or add text on top of something. In Smart, all you have to do is turn it into a handout, a group workspace, or a whole class whiteboard. For instance, like right now, I have 11 people in here. I can on the fly decide to make this a handout, a group workspace, or a whole class whiteboard. So if I click and make this a whole class whiteboard, now anybody that is connected with us right now, you now have tools on the left side to add text, to add shapes, to draw, and I can turn this on and off. So it could be whole class, or I could have done it individual where everybody would have got their own copy and everybody could have been annotating and adding to it. I don't have a chart with alignment. I see somebody just posted that in the chat, but I just haven't looked at Kami or messed with Kami in a while, but from what I saw when I visit classrooms, most of them were using for the annotation piece. And so I usually kind of go with the challenge of, well, and me being former ed tech, well, what were you using it for? And how are students using it? Like I see, it looks like somebody might have added a star or something. So another nice thing, you can also see who added this. I can say, oh, Michelle added that. I could also grab here and go to the shapes. If you agree with some things, or let's say there's some things that you like, you could click and double click the star and say, all right, I really like a few of these tools. Actually, I want people to know, here, I'm going to add this green star and say, one of my favorite things is turning things into handouts and workspaces. And what's nice too is if somebody already added something, you can just click on it and duplicate as a user, or Control D if you like. So what I find is it just finds a better way of trying to use one program to kind of do a lot of things instead of I'm going to use Kahoot for quizzing, I'm going to use Kami so they can annotate, I'm going to use Nearpod so I can ask questions during my presentation. A lot of that can be done through here. So I hope that helped a little. I mean, I wasn't totally prepared to do this or that, but I kind of wanted to just tie in that, a lot of the things that can be done with the competitive programs can be done in Lumio. And if at any point I want to stop the editing, I can just turn off this with a little switch in the top corner, and then all the tools go away for all the participants. So like I could say, all right, that's enough input, or I want to pause and maybe give some more direction before I allow them to input, and then I can allow everybody to edit again. All right. So, I don't want to do a whole full Lumio, everything about Lumio, but just that was a little taste of like one of the things you can do real easy on the fly. Now the Lumio certified trainer is much more on develop skills and resources to train adults on how to use Lumio with students. So it's a different way of looking at it. You're looking at it as that tech leader or that person that's leading in the building to say, hey, I know that you like to do a lot of practice with your students and they're on iReady or iReady Math or iReady Reading. I think some of the games would be fun for your kids to practice some of those skills so they get a little break from iReady. They get to try practicing their skills in some other ways. So then I would do a training on just how to create some games, some of the basic games to get them started. I would show them where they could download and find some games in the Lumio library. So you're not teaching like, oh, I'm going to teach you a lesson about addition. You're teaching a lesson on how to use games to engage students. So you're looking at it from that, teaching teachers perspective. So you're really digging deeper into the tools, giving opportunities for those people to practice using the tools. So typically what we do is they get to practice using it as a student, then they get to see what it's like to create it as a teacher, and then reflect on how they would use it with their students. Those are kind of the big things, when you're doing this short training with teachers. And we had to do typically 20 minutes, most were usually 45-minute trainings, where we had to really come in there with a goal of, all right, so what do you like to do? Well, this is how you do it. How do what do you think of it? You kind of checking in with them during it, and then really that reflection at the end of, right, now that you've learned this tool, how would you use it and share that with others? So I'm going to go on to the next one because I want to talk about the dates and everything too. But the main thing with Lumio Certified Trainer is it's a set of modules. And the 6th module involves you creating that Lumio file that you would teach with, kind of like I created this Lumio file to present to you guys. And then you would record yourself teaching them how to use the Lumio tool that you chose. And really showing a lot of those strategies of that, how to work with a teacher and how to help them get the most out of the training. The Smart Certified Trainer is new. We're just finishing creating this. We had to adapt it a little because Palm Beach doesn't use all the features of the Smart Panel, but the main one is the whiteboard. And so we would be focusing on the IQ whiteboard that's built in. We'd be also focusing on Smart Notebook, as well as like Smart Ink, Smart Document Viewer, basically stuff you would do with your panel, including like just the basic care and what I call care and feeding, of a Smart Panel, of little basic troubleshooting, things to know, things you'd want to tell a new teacher as they're getting started with it. And that one also will have like a 5-minute video submission at the end and have modules that'll kind of build your skills and your resources to help do that. So that we can start to get into what this is all, and you probably have seen the emails, but I can discuss a little bit about these options. So we have the Lumio Educator is going to be through Google Meet, and it'll be on June 22nd, 8:30 to 12:30. So it'll be about 4 hours with some homework essentially to create your lesson and submit your lesson. And more information would come during that training. Keep in mind, I'm going to show here in just a minute that if you cannot make one of these dates for some reason, there are some general trainings that are open to the whole district that you could also sign up for. These are just the ones specifically for media specialists. And right here, this click here is active for you if you are on my file. If you're not, I'm going to post in the chat. This is the form, but with this will also be sent in an email. I'll make sure that Lisa and Stephanie have these flyers also, just to maybe as a follow-up, this PDF with the clickable link. So it has all the dates and everything in here as well. So essentially, instead of you using ELM to register, because it's reserved just for media specialists, you'll use this Google form to get set up. And let me get back to my thing here. Lumio Certified Trainer will be, oh, sorry, I just noticed my coworker had a typo and did not include the dates correctly. I believe it was the 27th and 28th. It was a PDF, so I assumed all that was correct. Let me make sure when I look at these dates, 27th, 28th. So I apologize for that. Of course, as I'm reading through it, I see it. I didn't notice it earlier. Oops, sorry. I'm on the wrong one here. Let me go back. So that should say the 28th. My apologies. I think it was in process of creating that. Some copy pasting was going on to make it easier. So, and then the Smart Certified Trainer, since this is all about the panels, will be in Palm Springs Middle School in the Media Center, and that'll be July 11th and July 12th. So fortunately, when you do go to the forum, the dates are correct in here. June 22nd, 27th, 28th, July 11th, and 12th. And then you'll be automatically enrolled in ELM for that. And I will make sure we include, really what's even better than this is I'll show you guys, and I will also add this. Smart, or not Smart, EdTech has a folder or a page, sorry, on their website where they have all of their courses that are coming up. And as we scroll down, you'll see that there's a section here for Lumio. So we have Lumio certified trainers, quite a few of those. We have Lumio Educator 1, and then we also should be some for the Smart Certified as well. Those might be down lower since it's alphabetical. Yeah, there we go, Smart Panel, Smart Certified Trainer. So I will put this link in the chat as well. But I'll make sure that I have that link as well as the link to this form, as well as any other information that I think will be helpful. I'm going to go back to my presentation here. So you can kind of see here, we have quite a few dates. Just this sort of gives you the overview for the all people, all these different dates that are coming up. Also, and since a lot of you are not the point person, but you are maybe connected to them, if you want to click this link here of who is your training specialist and want to reach out to them, I'm going to put that also in the chat, because this is our last basically run of being able to help you guys in your schools. It's the end of September, our contract ends. So we want to take advantage of getting into as many schools as we can before we hit the end of September. And really, especially start of the year, we can do visits in that preschool time period, or as you're getting started with those new teachers. One of my favorite things to do is coaching and visiting the classrooms and helping people get going on their Smart Panel or get started with Lumio. And those are things that we can do as well. So we just want to make sure that we're supporting you guys and helping build your capacity with using Smart, using Lumio, and I think it's the best kept secret in some of these schools. I mean, some of them are just finding out about it, and we've had it for 3 years. It was Smart Learning Suite Online. I probably should have started with that, and that's kind of woken a few teachers up. They're like, oh, I remember that from a couple of years ago. But let's take advantage of this. You guys, like I said, 12 more years of it, and it's going to just keep getting better. We keep adding amazing features. So I'll leave a moment here for some questions, and looks like I somehow managed to eat up the whole 30 minutes.
Go ahead and unmute if you have a question, or throw it in the chat. We've got a question. Is there a stipend associated with this? Last I heard, EdTech was looking to see if there were any funds left available. So the answer is maybe.
Yep. Yeah, I think there's that grant that they try to get each year that they can use for professional development. So that will depend a lot on getting that grant and EdTech communication on that. So fingers crossed, because that's ideal, that you could be getting money for the trainings, and from what I understand, even some money typically for some time creating it and everything. So that's the hope, but we won't know for a little while until EdTech gets their approval, and I think it's like a Title IV grant or something like that. Any other questions? You can come off mute if you want, or type them in. But
when it says live and virtual, like where are those located? I see some of the locations.
Are you talking about the EdTech one, or the one that was just for the media specialists?
Any of them. Which one's just for media specialists? Sorry, I've been
Well,
kind of in and out.
That's okay. So the ones that are just for media specialists are the first two are Lumio Educator. So I just pulled it back up on my screen. Lumio Educator on June 22nd, and then June 27th and 28th is the Lumio Certified Trainer. Those will be through Google Meet, and so you'd just be from the comfort of your home or wherever you'd like to do it. The Smart Certified Trainer is at Palm Springs Middle. If I go back to the ed tech thing that I was sharing earlier, if it says live virtual training via Google Meet, then it's just going to be a Google Meet link. And a lot of those are going to be Google Meet. There will be some that will be in person. Like the Lumio certified trainers, a lot of those are going to be in person, but there is that prerequisite that you've taken Lumio Educator or being very comfortable with using Lumio. We've had a few people that just sort of jumped in. Now the Smart Certified, the Smart Panel ones are definitely all in person because we have to have the Smart Panel. But we do have some versions of the Lumio Certified and the Lumio Educator that are, let's scroll this better. Some virtual, we basically wanted to give multiple options. Some people are okay with the virtual method, but some people, like for Lumio Certified Trainer, would rather be in person. And so you'll see here kind of the different ones. So it specifically says in person, that's where they're going to be. A lot of them looks like they're in the Thurber building for the Lumio Certified Trainer. Even Lumio Educator, there are a few that are in person, and then there's some that are Google Meet. So you just got to kind of watch that that column for where it says class code. It lets you know where it's at.
And I'm seeing in the chat, do you need to go in order, or can you go to the first one and the third one? They have an avid training during the June date.
So the main thing is, before you do Lumio Certified Trainer, is that you would have had Lumio Educator. Because we really don't want people coming in there thinking we're going to teach them all the basics of Lumio and a certification for training, if that makes sense. It'd be like, you know, somebody who's never used PowerPoint is going to learn how to train people how to use PowerPoint. They'd have to learn a lot first of all the ins and outs of PowerPoint or whatever, just picking a random program. So the idea is that now Smart Certified and Lumio Certified could be in any order. If you can't make it to this Lumio Educator, there are other ones, like I was just showing you on the e-learning. Sorry, I didn't switch back to my other tab, but still in this e-learning, we have some of those Lumio Certified starting here in May. Oh no, sorry, that's the Certified Trainer. I'm going to find the Lumio Educator. Those are right below the Certified Trainer. Lumio Educators, they don't start till the 19th. So if you can't do the 22nd, maybe the 19th. There are ways in Lumio too to kind of, I'm going to share back this tab to kind of brush up and learn. I'm going to end my lesson and show you guys real quick. Up there on your dashboard in Lumio, you can click the little hat. And there's lots of getting started training stuff here for Lumio. Get started in 5 steps is my favorite, so I'll post that in the chat. It looks like the longest URL I've ever seen. So I guess that being said, if you can't make it to a Lumio Educator before that special Lumio Certified Trainer for media specialists, then maybe it'd be best if you found a later Lumio Certified Trainer in July and just attend with other teachers, because we really want to make sure people have a background in having used Lumio some first, if that makes sense. I'll stop sharing.
So I will pick up sharing. This is not the right one. There we go. We'll share this tab instead. Same thing. If you have not joined Emma, consider joining Emma now. There is a dues reduction right now. If there's a discount if you join early. So if you're interested in joining Emma, do so now. Go to bit.ly/EmmaPBC and click join us. You can pay via Zelle or check. Dues do go up next year. Continue tagging us on Twitter. You guys have done some amazing things in what was a very difficult year, and it's always a bright spot when we can see the awesome things you're doing in your libraries. Points, it is not too late to register and get your points. If you need recertification points, you get 20 points for this course, and it's just one quick, easy follow-up document. And that is it for our Topical Tuesday for the year. We will see you next year. Of course, Topical Tuesday will be back with new topics, new media specialists, new everything. I hope you all have a great summer if I don't see you beforehand, and have a great afternoon.